I wish I was more resilient. I know that's a strange way to start our video this week. But honestly, I wish I was more resilient. In some sense, I want to begin with that as like a confession. I wish I could come up here and I can say, listen, when times are hard, my family, we are unflappable in our faith, and me personally, I don't even wrestle because I'm so just consumed with the Lord and with His presence that I simply just always am in a state of joy. I wish I could say that and be honest when I say it. But if I'm going to be totally truthful, which I try to be with you guys always, I'm not as resilient as I wish I could be. I distinguish resilience between endurance. I actually think I have a pretty high tolerance for difficulty. I can endure it. But in the midst of enduring difficulty, a lot of the times I lose my resilience. My questioning for God becomes intense. My wrestling with the Lord becomes pretty, overwhelming. And frankly, to be totally honest, the last 3 to 4 years, my resilience has been deeply tested. My family and I have been going through a really difficult spell professionally, struggling with aspects of my calling. I've been wrestling deeply personally with friends and with family members leaving. Been struggling with relationships with people that I dearly love. It's been a really tough last 4 years. But one of the things I found today is that even in the midst of a lack of resiliency, even whenever things are the darkest and most broken, simply speaking a small prayer to the Lord ends up resulting in what can only be described as a resurrection. Even in the midst of the brokenness, you can experience life emerging. I'm reflecting today on Jonah chapter 2, verses 1 through 6. Jonah chapter 1, it's where he's called to go to Nineveh, and so he immediately hops on a ship to Tarshish, and he is fleeing the Lord. I mean, that's exactly the phrase that's used in verse 3 of chapter 1. He boarded and sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord. He's running. He's like, this calling is not okay. Professionally, personally, who you're asking me to go and to engage with? No. And you know how the story goes with Jonah. The storm begins to rage, and the sailors begin to question, why is it that something beyond them is angry? And Jonah finally raises his hand. He's like, it was me. And they're like, sorry, dude, we're going to throw you over. And he goes down into the depths. And then you have this incredibly tender prayer. Chapter 2, verse 1. From inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God. Inside a fish. He said, in my distress, I called to the Lord, and he answered me. Gosh, what a beautiful, incredible truth. In my distress, I called to the Lord. Not because I was handling my distress well, not because I was proving to be an unbelievably resilient. No, like Jonah, in my distress, I called to the Lord and he answers me. Now, answers is a very interesting word. Answer doesn't mean fix. Answer doesn't mean resolve. Answer means respond. With his presence, with a small nudge, with a tender response. Recently, 3 nights ago, I had a night where I just wrestled with the Lord. I went to sleep at around 11, and the first time I woke up was around 12:15. And then I tried to go back to sleep, and the next time I woke up was around 1:45. And from about 1:45 to around 6 o'clock in the morning, I sat in my living room praying and wrestling with the Lord. Struggling through anxieties, struggling through frustrations, struggling with being resilient. And in my distress, I called out to the Lord. I wrote it down in my journal. I said, Lord, I hate to do this, but I'm so overwhelmed that today I need you to uniquely respond with your presence. I need you to uniquely send someone in a way just to let me know that you care and that you're here. And that evening at around 5 o'clock, I was checking my email to end the day. And one of my colleagues here at Ozark, she is a saintly, godly woman. She just sent me an email that just said, I don't know why, Shane, but out of the blue when I was praying today, the Lord laid your name heavy on my mind. I have not probably talked to this colleague in maybe even over a year. Our paths just don't cross on our small campus very much. And she goes, I just wanted to reach out and let you know that the Lord is proud of you and that all he's asking you to do is to relax and to enjoy him. I was weeping because I said to the Lord, I said, you see me. I called you in my distress and he answered me. From deep in the realm of the dead, I called for help and you listened to my cry. Listen to the intensity. It's not that Jonah had resiliency. It's that Jonah knew where to turn to in the moments of his brokenness. And the Lord responds. The Lord hears his cry. Verse 3 even says, you hurled me into the depths. I'm not going to lie about the situation. Some of it I know it's because you've gotten my attention. Some of it I know it's because I was fleeing from you and you had to grab a hold of me. You hurled me into the deeps, into the very heart of the seas, and the currents swirled about me. Think about this from Jonah's perspective. What is he seeing? And all your waves and breakers swept over me. I said, I have been banished from your sight, yet I will look again toward your holy temple. And the engulfing waters threatened me. The deep surrounded me. Seaweed was wrapped around my head. To the roots of the mountains I sank down. The earth beneath barred me in forever. But you, Lord, I love that, verse 6, but you, Lord, brought my life up from the pit. I struggle with being resilient. But just because I struggle with being resilient doesn't mean the Lord won't respond, even in the midst of my broken cries and pain. Listen, I don't know what you're going through this week. I wish I did. I wish I could pray for you. I pray for you in general, but I wish I could pray for you specifically. But what I do know is this. It does not matter if you have the gift of resiliency. All that matters is that you need to know that in your distress, when you cry out to the Lord, he will answer you. He will respond to you. For our tender, tender Father listens, cares, and moves in pursuit of us. I love you guys. Have a good week.